This is a young woman who had 3 children. She was raising on her own because her husband went to India to earn money for her. So they were very, very poor. I went in probably 1988. I went for a month and I wanted to do something meaningful with my life in another country. It was started by Father Charlie Law, who was a lawyer. He drove all over the country helping with all the social problems. They trusted him for everything. And so he thought, I don't know what I'm doing, but I know more than most people. So he got money from the Chicago Catholic Diocese and got a social worker from India and a few others, and they started the school. The person on the left is me, and this was a ceremony that the women of a certain age got something, I think it was called a tika, which is a red dot on their forehead, and they were honoring me by giving me the tika, so we took a picture of that. This is a typical picture at that time where there are 3 women. It was the mother, a woman and her 2 daughters, went out into the woods to get hay. It was either to feed the cattle or it was to thatch their roof. This is the men's group. And I think the men started the program of helping to govern the village, collecting money if any man needed help getting something done. And this is the women's group. And they collected a nickel. And they helped one woman who was a widow and she had children. They pulled their money and she was able to start a little store. This is a woman whose mother deserted the father, and the father remarried, which you're not supposed to do. So she was cursed because of the behavior of her parents. So she couldn't go to school, and she just had to work all the time. When something happened medically, they called us as if we knew what to do. The woman got a splinter in her foot that was getting infected, and they called and asked us what to do. And so we did what we do at home. We cleaned the area, and we pulled out the splinter. And that's all we could do, but they didn't know to do that. So once we did this, we got a reputation in the whole area of these Americans who were like doctors. Very, very motivated, very engaged, full of questions. We did a role play, which schools often do. And one of the questions in the role play was the mother telling the daughter to do something, to marry somebody, and the daughter said she won't do it because she didn't love the man. So there was a big discussion on how independent the adult children are and how dependent they are, that they have to do whatever their parents tell them. But they wanted to make their country better. What they did was put big logs like railroad ties in a circle, and they tied rope around them. And if a man was abusive, they put the man in there to humiliate them. So they could come out, but the point is, the whole village knew that that man was abusive. All right, so when I was sitting in a circle in the shelter and they were drawing, my back really started to hurt because we sat on the floor. And I thought about it. I didn't want to create a hierarchy by sitting in a chair, but my back was so bad. I explained to them that I didn't want to create status or a hierarchy through my translator, but my back really hurt and we have to get up and do exercises. So that was a way to lead into it slowly. So we did all these exercises that high school kids and grade school kids do. We touched our toes, we moved around, and they giggled and they thought it was wonderful. And I said they should do them some more. And then, and then I said, well, now you know what I have to do so my back won't hurt. I'd like to sit in a chair. And they thought that's exactly what I should do. This drawing was done when I went to one of the shelters, and I asked the girls to draw whatever they wanted. And they didn't have to tell me, but they all wanted to tell me. The message is about society and family. A 10-year-old child is shown in this picture. She's required to marry a man 35. The square around the figure symbolizes the nation of Nepal and the people in the village and their customs and traditions. I didn't even dream of taking their work home with me. But they said, what are you going to do with it? And I said, well, I don't know. It's your work. And they said, no. They apparently had some conversation. You have to take this back to America with you and show the people what our life is like. And so I went out and made color Xeroxes for them to have of their work. And then I brought the work home. I brought 35 of these drawings home and showed them for 3 years in different places, in the main library in Boston, in different churches and synagogues and community centers. It's hard to categorize it with words. It was just so powerful to be able to communicate with a person from a different world in a different life, not know the same language and different past experiences, and yet be able to hold hands and appreciate each other as human beings. I would suggest for most people, no matter what it is, something you really want to do that seems reasonably safe, no matter what people tell you, that you should do it. Follow your instincts and do it.